Thank you for auditing the unedited, always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's finally back from his vacation of 3 whole weeks. I'm going to finally be talking about Utopia by Travis Scott, the first ever Travis Scott album I've listened to from start to finish. And I don't know what I'm going to be titling this video, something provocative, but in case you're a fan or a hater, I think this album is further evidence that we are in a new stage of this golden age of hip-hop that we've been living through, at least for as long as I've been doing this channel, this moment where art rap is really going mainstream. And I'm going to be using this term over and over again. The word is big and grand. So it's big because rap albums these days, they have to be big. Ever since Migos released Culture 2, they realized that the only way to make money is to have a lot of tracks so that there's a lot of different streams. That leads to a lot of bloat. But there have been albums which have managed to be both big and grand. By that I mean big but also epic or having some kind of artistic scope, and that's where I think we're going to see Utopia fitting in with this sort of new way of making rap albums. That's not so much trying to be To Pimp a Butterfly, but that's trying to be, well, Donda. I'm going to be talking a lot about the artist formerly known as Kanye West, the artist currently known as Ye. But I've been getting a lot of kind comments from you about how you want me to review this album, and I'm excited to review it too. I was traveling through Paris, and I kept seeing posters everywhere, and I was all excited, and I can't wait to do it. It is funny, I did get a DM on Instagram. Someone said, "Get your ass back from Europe and listen to your first Travis album already." So my ass is back and I'm here. I will say one thing, just for 1 minute. I just want to talk about the algorithm because it's a weird thing, So I released 8 videos while I was gone for 3 weeks, and they were different format. They're sort of lower videos and sort of different kinds of videos. And you, the viewers, were quite great, like the actual click-through rate, the subscriber rate was great, but the algorithm itself just hid all those different style videos. So I don't know if you're seeing this video. If you are and you like my stuff, could you please just share it around or just do something, interact with it, or just something? Because I realized I was waiting for my baggage at Pearson Airport in Toronto. Hey, that is a chaotic airport. And I realized what the algorithm is actually like for a creator. It's not a dog, it's a cat, okay? Fans are like dogs. They're loyal and they love you and you love seeing them, So if you're watching this video and you're a subscriber, you're like Bo and Toby, like my dogs, not in the way that you're subservient, but we have this positive relationship, just wagging tails and yay. But the algorithm is like a cat. It does not care about you at all. It would eat your face off if it was hungry, right? It doesn't care even a little bit. In fact, it probably generally dislikes you, like most cats generally dislike their owners. But it needs you. So it needs you as a creator, so it will put up with you. And so when you have it on your lap and you're petting and it's going well and there's album after album and you're getting 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 views, you think everything's going well. But then, just for some reason, ouch, it scratched my thigh and ran away. You don't know why. You don't know why it goes away. And if you do what I just did, you go away for 3 weeks, and you post different style videos, do you know what cats do when you leave them for too long? They show you how angry they are at you. They will take a dump on your pillow. I have seen this multiple times, okay? And that's what the algorithm has done to me for going away for 3 weeks. So just, hey, in case you want to know what it's like being a creator, going on vacation is horrible. I mean, it was a great vacation, but I could do my work, but I couldn't save myself from mean old algorithm kitty. So what that also means, the fact that I was on vacation, is that my listening experience is very different. Normally an album comes out on Friday, and I go to the gym, and I listen to it, and I listen to it in the car, and I listen to it with the family, and then I think about it, and then I read lyrics, and then I do it. I've been sitting with this album for a couple of weeks now, and each listen has been different, and it's really unfurled itself to me. This album where on the first listen, I was like, what the hell, man? What is this? What kind of pale imitation of Donda is this mess? I had all these ideas for titles, I can't believe it's not Donda. I put up a post about Garfield minus Garfield, because that's how this feels. It feels like it's a Kanye album minus minus Kanye. I was like, how is this not just Donda 3? Well, wait, how is this not just Yeezus 2? How is this not Dondeezus? I just kept on having all these ideas on that first superficial listen, which I'm going to nuance later. I finally arrived at the idea of Donda 2.5. I'll tell you why, because there's a movie called Lion King 1.5, which is a sort of semi-sequel to the theatrical movie Lion King, the original 1994 animated classic. And Lion King 1.5 is not made by the same people who made Lion King. It's made by the direct-to-video people. It's actually a pretty good movie. So it's pretty good, but it's not by the original artist. So this can't actually be Donda 3 because Donda is Ye and Ye is Donda. So that's where I was. But the more I listened to it, the more I realized that is a short-sighted, easy answer for this album. It is easy to listen to this album and dismiss it as a Kanye ripoff. And if you're that person, feel free to tell me in the comments. Feel free to say I listened to it like once, and I was like, bruh, and then I moved on, okay? But it really is a monumental piece of work. So I was listening to it in all different contexts. I mainly listened to this album while living in France for a couple weeks, and it's true. I would get up in the morning. My wife would be feeding our baby. I would go out to the local bakery. There's like 3 or 4 within walking distance every place I was. I'd get my euro. I'd buy a baguette, I'd come back with it, and I'd listen to the album the whole way there and back, okay? I then listened to it on the plane ride home, and then I listened to it on the car ride home from Toronto to Rochester. So that's the way I've really been listening to it. So it's been a very different, long experience, and I think it's needed. If you dismissed this album outright because you're just like, bruh, Kanye, that's okay. Maybe the biggest insult I can do to our dear Mr. Ye. When this album is way too much like Ye, I'm just going to give a Joe Biden, come on, man. There's just many times where you listen to this album and you just go, come on, man. So I'll bring those up, okay? We can't pretend like this album is not, come on, man, so much like it. But this is the thing. Go ahead. You, the hater, out there. Go ahead. You make an album that is so much like Donda or so much like Yeezus that people hear it and say, wow, that's like Donda or Yeezus. You go right at, wait, what's that? Nobody can do that? Wait, what's that? Ye, blazed this trail and nobody knows how to follow it except for Travis Scott? Travis Scott is filling, not only is he filling in that Kanye, that Ye-shaped hole in our hearts, and it is a huge hole. The artistic landscape, hip-hop and art is hurting because he's gone. I understand he is on planet Earth. Thank God he is alive. Hopefully he's getting better. Hopefully he stops being a white supremacist, which is currently the problem, okay? Let's just put it all together in one little thing and say, oops, the most important African-American, the most important living African-American is accidentally a white supremacist. Who knows? 2016, it's been a rough couple years for us. So, he's gone, right? He's in a different place right now, and he's basically gone, and he's left a hole, and we are hurting as a culture. All of us are hurting as a culture, whether you're in pop, hip-hop, wherever you are. And this album does a lot, because Travis Scott is in the Ye conversation, okay? Now listen carefully. He has a tenth of Ye's genius, a tenth of his vision, a tenth of his scope, a tenth of his talent. And now that might sound like I'm damning with faint praise, but most artists on planet Earth have 100th, okay? Have 1,000th of Ye's talent, genius, vision, and scope. And this album really is proof that he is that guy, or at the very least, 1/10 of that guy. Now, going back to this concept I opened up with, just so that you knew where I was coming from, about being big and grand. This is what's really exciting to me, because we can't just sit there waiting for the next To Pimp a Butterfly, sit there waiting for the next Dark Twisted Fantasy. The medium of streaming is making the masterpiece album nigh impossible to create, at least to be commercially viable as a rap artist. If you don't have streaming bloat, you are not going to be able to buy a Patek Philippe and put your kids in private school, okay? You're not going to be able to do those things if you don't have 19 tracks on your albums. So instead of having these little jewels, these little perfect 10 out of 10 on every track, right? Or what was it 6? Was that the famous thing that Fantano did? He gave it a 6. That's great. It's brilliant. Great unintentional marketing on his part. So instead of having these like great 10 out of 10 things, we have these sort of unwieldy, like, whoa, this is great, but there's too much of it. This is great, but it's overstuffed. And this is where a couple years ago it all starts to snap into focus. The culture was moving. Of course it was Ye who was moving it. Of course it was Ye who was showing how to do it by making Donda, making that album which is overstuffed and brilliant and sprawling. It is big in just the sense of size, just like eight sides on the vinyl, right? Just let's put another version of Junior Watanabe. Just everything everywhere. But it's also grand. It's wonderful. It's got this huge scope and feeling and emotion and artistry. I also think we need to credit Donda's ugly twin, Certified Lover Boy, for doing a very similar thing around a very similar time, just to much lesser effect, but the same basic idea. And thinking about it now, I think Mr. Morale makes a lot more sense to me with Kendrick, because Kendrick's, he didn't try to make another Damn, and he didn't try to make another To Pimp a Butterfly. He basically made, looking at it now in this context, this is part of that Donda movement. I mean, the thing is with Ye, you never know which direction he's going to push the culture, because you don't know which way what part the culture is going to follow. So it turns out, hopefully, that's what they're following. And maybe Lil Yachty, his last album, is in that mode. I don't know. But this is the place that we're going. So that's the best part. The worst things you can say about Utopia here is that it's Donda with a Yeezus sound pack installation. And I just want to really emphasize the things that are done that are so good are so hard to do, because Travis Scott is producing a lot of this album himself. It means he's not just sitting there, he's not just draking it up and waiting for whatever, all the people to just send him great beats. He's like actually crafting these things, and he's rapping, and he's creating all of these things all at once, and he's also creating a lot of suspense and a lot of drama. I was trying to think about what it's like losing Ye. And I think it's like what happened when we lost Hendrix. I mean, 7 years before I was born. But like, you couldn't there was nobody to just take that place. I swear to God, if you tell me Eric Clapton, I will punch my phone. You won't even feel it, but I will be so upset. Nobody was able to fill in. Maybe Sly and the Family Stone filled in a little bit of that. Later, maybe Stevie Ray Vaughan filled in a little bit of that. But we're just there's just this sort of hole. And I think Travis Scott fills it better than anyone else, because we're all just sort of fiends for Ye. We're just fiends for what he's able to do for our culture. The best praise and most damning insult I could say to this in relationship to Donda, because there's no point in reviewing this album outside of the context of Donda, is that the highs are lower and the lows are higher. Okay, so lower ceiling, higher floor. There's no hurricane on Utopia. But there's also no remote control on Utopia. In a way, it's less challenging. It's easier to love on the first listen, which potentially means it has less lasting ability. There's a chance that we'll just not be listening to this album in a couple years, the same way we're listening to Donda. I suppose it is time to talk about the difficulty of talking about Ye this much when he is a white supremacist. I'm not really going to do that. There are questionable people on this album, including Travis Scott himself, based on his reaction to the festival deaths that he was party to. It is a weird part about this album because he doesn't talk about it really, but it's sort of the thing that we all are talking about when we talk about Travis Scott. I assume it's like a lawyer thing that he's not supposed to talk about it when there's an open case. I haven't talked too much about that actual thing, but yeah, no, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's the organizer's fault. You don't. To quote Spinal Tap, it's not your job to be as confused as he is it? Travis Scott's job is to be a star, okay? It's to tell people to get crazy. It's to jump up and down. There's people who are paid and make a good living and have health insurance and dental insurance for making sure that events are safe. And those people are the people who are responsible for people not being safe, not the rock star. Okay? It wasn't the Who's fault that all those people got trampled in Cincinnati, okay? The Who's job is to be awesome rock and roll bands. Travis Scott's job is to put on a great show and be crazy and make people go crazy. Anyways, feel free to disagree with me. I feel terrible that happened. I just think that, as always, we need to fight the real enemy. And 9 out of 10 times, the real enemy is not a black celebrity. I understand that we live in this culture where it's just like, well, hey, global warming, can we blame that on black celebrities? Some of them have private jets. Did Diddy cause global warming? Let's do that. Let's say that Diddy caused global warming. Whew. Breathe easy, Exxon. Okay. Hey, I'm back and I'm political. Did you miss my political rants? Do you hate my political rants? Like I said, this is my first Travis Scott album. I've listened to parts of Astroworld. I taught that class on hip hop, and I obviously had to understand Travis Scott to a certain extent. But he was very hard to place because I had a whole unit on Houston rap. And where does Travis Scott fit in Houston rap? He doesn't really make Houston style rap. So he's an interesting guy in that way where he's sort of outside of everything. I think one of the great come on man moments of this album release is that he had all these interesting album covers that he didn't use, and instead he just used a mostly black album cover. I mean, at least he's on the cover, unlike the Donda cover, the Donda Spinal Tap Metallica cover. But it's kind of a funny, come on man, you're going to show interesting covers and then just do a black cover? I'll also say that, so I don't know, so I haven't watched any of the videos that anyone's made about Utopia. So maybe I'm repeating what other people are saying. Feel free to tell me in the comments. It's cool, you know? Hey, we're all saying the same stuff, different stuff, who knows? But I do know, and I do appreciate very much Sean C's work in general, and he has always clowned on Travis Scott as a lyricist. And so that did color my expectations going into this. But he raps so much like Ye on this album. There are parts where I actually thought it was Ye for a bar or two. And part of it is this kind of corniness, you know, the wonderful corniness of Ye. And there's so many kind of corny lines. I don't know. I do think that there's a sort of emptiness to the album thematically, which I wonder about. There's a lot of sort of meaningless choruses. They're just sort of it's like that, and that's what it is. And what is it? It's like that, and that's what it is. And what is it? It's like that. It's like that, and that's what it is. And what it is that, which is what it's like. I made that up, but that's kind of how it feels. I do think there is a sort of problem that Travis Scott appears to have where he's trying to sort of follow the Ye playbook of going between sort of vapid flexing and personal reflection, but he's not as good at the personal mythologizing that Ye is able to do. Ye is one of the great autobiographers of music, and especially of rap music. But in this, I don't really get a sense of who Travis Scott is. And maybe it's the whole, don't talk about the war, don't talk about Astroworld, don't talk about all that stuff that's going on, because I'm sure there's lawyers who are looking over every lyric here. But it's sort of the problem that we get to where he's not going to lie. Travis Scott doesn't lie about slang and dope. He doesn't lie about being a criminal. But he sort of also downplays flossing and makes it clear that flossing and flexing is sort of immature. But then conscious rap is still seen as too corny, so it's basically limited to that kind of empty chorus and then a fair amount of drug talk and then just a lot of just women stuff. And this is, what I call Baby Keemitis, where I think Baby Keem could be like, top 5 in the game right now. I mean, he's got tons of talent, but he has nothing to say because his life has been fairly blessed with talent and connections and the ability to reach the world. So like that whole album, the Magnetic Blue or whatever it is, the Blue Town Meanies, whatever it was, the Magnetic Blue, what even was that album called? Hypnotic Blue? Whatever the Blue album was by Baby Keem, it was just so filled with just sex lyrics. It's just kind of like, I get it, like you want to be edgy, but you don't have to be edgy. So I do wonder, like, what is the truth to Travis Scott? Do we actually get a sense of who he is? And this is where you, my auditors, can help me out. Okay? You can help me by telling me, what do I not see? I mean, he was married, I want to say, to a Kardashian. Is that right? He had a baby with a Kardashian. Is that right? Is that, am I like in the right zone here? Is there some is there stuff in this album where, as a Travis Scott fan, because this is the thing that really has blown me away about Travis Scott, is how dedicated and how much his fans love him. Just love him. The attachment that they have to him and the reverence that they have for him has been strange for me because I haven't always understood. I just heard him on features. It's just sort of like a blah kind of guy. It's like a guy in the background just like blah sometimes. It's like sometimes like an okay verse. So maybe this album is a lot more personal than I know because my ignorance is profound. It is funny because the first time, so I was in my Airbnb in Marseille when I first listened to this album, and I was just listening to it, just kind of go track by track, and I was trying to figure out what tracks to listen to. And as I was looking through the credits, I was like, whoa, hey, oh my God. There's a Daft Punk guy on here? Oh, Dave Chappelle and Young Lean? What a West Side Gun and James Beyonce and Bon Iver? Like every time I'd look through, I would just get like super excited. And that was a really fun moment. Maybe you had the same kind of moment that I did, where I was like, I thought he was just some kind of auto-tune guy, and that this was just going to be just sort of like a standard thing. Just a standard fine rap album. But instead it's this big and grand, at worst, very good. At best, very, very good, album. I'm going to talk about the album, more specifics. This is my mug. You buy my mug. If, again, please share this or do interact with it some way to tell the algorithm that I'm back. Please tell the kitty cat I'm going to be feeding him. Everything's going to be cool. I got one of those little, things on a string where you whip it back and they claw at it, So just let the algorithm know. If you want me to give you a guaranteed heart on your comment, make sure you include the letters AVAA. Awesome video as always, and I'll give you a guaranteed heart on that video. But the conversation has been going on about this album for weeks, and I've been out of it. So tell me, what did I miss? Tell me, where do I miss? Junior, on my wrist? Time has not been kind to Junior Watanabe. All right, so how do I even have a stamp on this album? The first 6 tracks of this album are like a perfect EP, okay? And I get that people are pissed at this album or pissed at Travis Scott because the Dave Chappelle's on there. I get it. We'll get to it. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It's 23 minutes already. You're still here, so buckle in, But let's just go with the first track as the sample track, Hyena, click above the banana, above the Peter Max wallpaper. And I think this shows a lot of what I'm talking about. Hey, if you think it's so easy to effectively imitate Ye, you go ahead and do it. Because he finds this sample, the song Proclamation by Gentle Giant. It's clear, right? It's clear that there was, in the song Power, Ye sampled King Crimson, 20th Century Schizoid Man, and that he just basically threw this gauntlet out. It was like, oh, by the way, we can do weird, British prog rock now. So have fun digging through those crates, trying to find something to take from there. But what is interesting is this oddly centrist statement that's being said here. Like, things are fine, things are bad, things could be better, things could be worse. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the nothing. Pretty much feeling pretty good. But sometimes I feel kind of bad. It's an oddly toothless way to start off an album that's also unexpected. And then the beat comes in. And hey, Donda, there's no drums on Donda. There's like one drum beat on Donda on like a half of a song, okay? I'm exaggerating, but the spirit of what I'm saying is true. This starts right off with a sort of dark twisted fantasy era. It might even be a Ye sample with these super hard drums. Reminds me of the Runaway beat, but it's a head nod beat. It is just whatever it is that people love about Travis Scott, I got immediately. Like, immediately. IMMETG immediately I got what it is that people love, because this beat comes in and he just starts rapping, I'm out of control, hey, ding, 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 this weird sort of like zither sound in the back. My head is nodding and I'm super psyched. And my favorite memory of the song is always going to be getting out of Pearson Airport. Totally chaotic airport, okay? Don't schedule some extra time. They lost our bags. It is a mess. It's a mess. I love Toronto. You think I'm afraid of the 6? That's it. You know what it is? I'm just afraid of the 6. I am. I'm just afraid of it. I'm just afraid of its high rises, Yonge Street. But anyway, so we're driving out, and it's total chaos. There's like 8 lanes, and everyone's going. I just put the song on, and it starts cranking, and my wife in the background goes, "This is Travis Scott?" I was like, "Yeah." The guy from the Reese's Pieces box? Yeah. This is really good. So we were having this awesome time just driving. First time driving my car in 3 weeks. And I was driving like a standard car. I drove like a Fiat 500, which is like smaller than my couch. And I'm driving my minivan. I'm back in America, at least back in North America. And I'm just driving. Hey! Hey! And it was just super awesome. That was my wife's introduction to Travis Scott, was the Reese's Peanut Butter Puffs cereal box, which I have somewhere in my house. That was going to be behind me, but I can't find it now. And so she was quite surprised that he was so good. This is what I'm talking about, these empty choruses. Like, this is what we know about it. Like, okay. Okay. So let's define pronouns, okay? This is what we know about it. Who's we and what is it? All right? Don't mean to go Faith No More on you, but I say, what is it? What is it that you are talking about? But it's okay. It doesn't really matter, because you're just absolutely just wilding out listening to this song. I understand it would be possible to listen to this song and fold your arms and be a hater, okay? I don't blame you. I hate all sorts of great stuff. But if you unfold your arms and just start doing one of those, instead, your life is going to be better. It is out of control. I'm driving to hell and I done brought still. It's great. All these kind of weird heaven and hell illusions. Again, it's very half-assed, okay? It is very half-assed. The imagery on this album is very half-assed. The Christianity is half-assed. The devil stuff is half-assed. But the beats are so good. He makes direct reference to going to the Chateau Marmotте in L.A., which I stayed in for one night. I took my brother there, and we got there, and the room wasn't ready, so they gave us a free night. I did see one celebrity. I saw Tobey Maguire eating at the cafe. I didn't walk up to him. We had a very fun time. We went swimming in the pool, and neither of us died, so that was pretty fun. And just the emptiness of it, I don't think really matters, because it's just so well constructed. And it's like, well, we're going to hell, what we know, where we all shall go, and power. And there's this weird sample of Maggot Brain by Funkadelic. And I do think there's sort of a lot of like Funkadelic-y talking in this album. We're just sort of like talking with echo in the back to get you hyped up. This appears to be maybe a global warming thing. I don't know. There's some of these beautiful strings behind. Again, of course, it reeks of Ye's influence, but it's so good I want more of it. In 2002, I almost bought a Coldplay album. Okay? Okay? You understand? You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying right now? You understand the words coming out of my mouth? Okay? I almost bought a Coldplay album. Because Radiohead hadn't released anything since 2001. And I was a fiend. I was fiending for Radiohead. And I listened to them and I thought, it's pretty good. I didn't end up buying it. But like when artists are not releasing what you want, you look for something to fill it in. And there was nothing that came close to Radiohead in between 2001 and 2004, their next album. And we don't have that problem. We have something that can do that for us. Not as well, but it's not just that it sounds like Ye, it's that it has the artistic ambition. Travis Scott needs to get that respect of being somebody, because what's the point of starting a revolution if nobody follows you? Justice is one of my favorite electronic dance music bands, and they've just been following Daft Punk around like little puppies. But they do it so well, it doesn't matter. And Justice is not going to break up, and their albums are great, and they're 1/10 of the artist as Daft Punk, but that's okay, because most electronic dance musicians are 1/100th of Daft Punk. We need to appreciate more the Costco versions of our favorite foods, okay? Kirkland Kanye. I just came up with that, I'm sorry. That is such an asshole thing to say, but it's catchy. We must learn to appreciate Kirkland Kanye, Travis Scott. I'm such a dick. Now, well, it's been 30 minutes. I think it's okay. I don't think I'm going to get struck for bad language. Leads perfectly into the song, Thank God, which apparently was just a former Kanye song that was going to be on Donda. That's the weird thing. I mean, the ghost of Ye is everywhere. It almost sounds like a broken version of Bombs Over Baghdad in a way. And the flow is very Kanye style. It's very Ye style. It's stop and start. It's about gods and devils. There's even a little singing bit at the end of the first verse. And builds up. The thing, I thought this whole album was going to be all auto-tune. There's like very little on here. It's very sectional. It's very modular production, very of the moment. Again, I believe the modular production is very necessary for TikTok to have different moods and different parts of different albums, different songs. Great kind of bloopy sound to this. And then a beautiful part where there's just synths and he's alone to rap. And there's all these layers and giving layers and taking away layers. There's a couple figures that are repeated figures in this album. Tom Brady and Socrates. So, hey, those are two pretty good people. Well, one of them was a good person. The other is a very successful person. So there you go. Now, Tom Brady is the same age as Kanye. So maybe when he's saying Tom Brady, he's saying Kanye. I don't know. But then it just gets so Ye on this. Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, talking about his family. Storm's a minor, but she's living major. Corny. Talking about his daughter. When you fly up this high, you don't need cables. It's so lit. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Morning time, we had to check the news. We made the papers. So, Ye. But then the great beat change. And in the end, there's this little haunting bit. And again, I'm just going to keep saying it. It's not just that it sounds like Donda, it's that it's able to do so many of those things. Like, I hear the Mike Dean all over the place. And he works a lot with Noah Goldstein on this album too. I hear him a lot as well. Like these collaborators. Like Travis Scott knows how to get the best out of his collaborators, which is the thing that Kanye can do that Drake doesn't do. I think that's like one of the biggest ways that Ye wins that battle again and again and again and again, is that when people come to Drake, they just give him what, I don't know what. They just fart something out. But then for Ye, it's like, okay, got to bring the best. This really always feels like everything's the best. And there's so many different producers and so many different voices, but it all is cohesive. Track 3 is Modern Jam, or as they would say in Serbia, Modern Jam. And this one's produced by Gimand Omem Christo. And it turns out, based on what I read, it's so Ye's scraps that it is literally a scrap from Ye. It is literally a first version of I Am a God. But it's cool because it's almost like an alternate timeline, because it doesn't actually sound that much like I Am a God. It's more of a dance jam. And this has that great ability that Travis Scott has to just sort of say these like, to the maker, maker, to the vibrator, vibrator. Ode to a Vibrator by Travis Scott. But it's really gets you pumped up. This whole album gets you pumped up the whole way through. Super corny Ye style lyrics. Please get off the gram. Isn't that an actual Ye lyric? Tell me, am I wrong? Doesn't he say get off the gram? Hey, gee man, brought him home from France. This shit punk. Put it on the Bible. I like a bi girl on a bicycle. Like, it's like, are we sure that this isn't a lost Ye verse? Then I bought a car. I bought her a car, now she feel entitled. My dick so hard, poking like the Eiffel. It's just, tables are my corn, and these lyrics are corny. And there's even just parts where it's like, ah! It's just like, come on, man. Ah! But again, there's this great, the way the synths layer in, there's this like minimal, grimy post-verse point, you know? It's not all just that. And then he actually uses the word zeitgeist. What my least favorite corny Ye lyric, pop a wheelie on a zeitgeist. And now I'm in the zone. Like, come on, man. You can't say I'm in the zone and zeitgeist in the same line. Are you even trying not to make people think you're trying to sound like Ye? Are you even trying, Travis Scott? Is this, you know? It'd be like if I made an album and it sounded like Elvis and I had a line that was like, are you lonesome tonight, my hound dog? You know? It's like, of course people are going to think of it. Then the next verse is sort of about his artistry, and that's what confused me, because it sounded like he was being defensive. But like, do people even attack his artistry? There's a weird sort of like Britishy sounding, more prog rock thing, unexpected sound here, and then the beat gets more bouncy at the end. There's just so much scope in the production. And another thing this album does almost always, except where it gets bad, and there's a couple parts where it's pretty bad, is that it gives so much space to the vibe of the song. Like, he lets things ride a fair amount, and that's very nice, especially in a beat like this. Next song is called My Eyes. And what I like about this is, okay, so it's just like, again, when you see that Bon Iver's on here, you're just like, come on, man. You're using Bon Iver? That's Ye's guy. Come on, man. But Bon Iver is so good on this album. And he's got like his Bon Iver weird auto-tune thing going on. But then like at times there's Sampha on there, who's a very different artist, but merges perfectly. And this is that thing that Ye's able to do, that apparently Travis Scott is able to do as well, and it's a very hard thing to do. I cannot do it. You, I hate to tell you, cannot do it, unless your name is Ye or Travis Scott. To mix together people where once you hear them together, you're like, of course Sampha and Bon Iver go well together. But how would you even think to do that? I love the faraway tinny drum machine on here. So this is like a beautiful left turn, because the rest of the album so far, these first couple tracks are just so upbeat and you're jamming and out of control. My dick is the Eiffel Tower. Not exactly in the same way as Kendrick, but more or less in the same way. You know, like, so, and then we get this weird low moving bit here. And the lyrics at the first pass are just like, I got thousands on my wrist and what's on my feet, and I got a roly-poly on my wrist. Roly-poly? As if you're referring to a Rolex watch as a roly-poly. But there's this fragility in his voice. And Sampha, again, is just used with a little bit of restraint. I bet there's versions of this song where Sampha's more on it. I bet we're going to get Utopia Part 2. Utopia the Super Edition. Utopia Mega Platinum Director's Cut. I bet that Ye also laid out the track for that, where there's going to be other versions of these songs a little bit different. And then there's kind of like a beat shift, and it gets more upbeat, and these like cool, chill, faraway horns. And what's great is that the lyrics that were boring, that were sort of about like his eyes having sunglasses that are worth 10,000 or 5,000 or whoever cares how much money your sunglasses are. Hey, let's go back in time and say what would be interesting to hear about. How much your sunglasses cost? Is that in the top 10? Show me, how much do your sunglasses cost? I'm sorry, that is not on the list of things that people care about. Okay? I hate to tell rappers, but actually, it's not that interesting how much your car cost, how much your wrist cost, how much your haircut, how much your hat costs, how much your sunglasses cost. It's just not that interesting. it fills up the space, and I'd rather hear about that than about like needing a mop in a sexual encounter. But it's not that interesting. But here he talks about his eyes from the perspective of like trying to live through his life, and it's actually sort of about his perspective, and it's more personal, it's more interesting, and the rhyme scheme becomes a little bit more attacking, a little bit more interesting. It ends up being a very good, interesting song. Like the lyrics, which seem like it was just like, my sunglasses are expensive, and my watch is expensive, my shoes are expensive. Next track, my car is expensive, ends up being a little bit more than that. By the way, if you are a producer and you'd like to take any of those and make a rap song, feel free. My private jet is expensive. You can just do whatever you want with that. I think that's a pretty good sound cut right there. I'm giving this out for free. My socks cost like $12 for like a chub pack of like 10. So that's what I got going on. Next track is God's Country, which of course is another Donda song. This apparently uses a sample from Rosemary's Baby, which secretly in an album with Ye, with Dave Chappelle and Travis Scott, secretly this is the most cancelable thing because Rosemary's Baby was directed by a pedophile rapist. Oops, I just got demonetized. Oh, well, it's fine. Named Roman Polanski. I only mentioned it once. I think I got away with it. So really, they should not be directing any attention towards Rosemary's Baby. Although Roman Polanski is a very good filmmaker, unfortunately. Very, very Ye-style delivery. Waking up, I see the light. I've been drunk, but it's all right. I will say that part of what I like about this is that it's helping me to appreciate Ye's rapping more, because I hear someone else trying to rap like him, and it makes me realize there are good things there. I often clown on Ye's rapping ability because what interests me most about Ye is his artistry, not his individual things that he does as an artist. Almost like a farty trap beat in the back. You in God's Country, not in Montgomery. Go Ted Bundy, then go home and play Al Bundy. Just so corny. Tables are my corn. And this album is filled with tables. This album's got so many tables. And then the hits keep coming. Track 6. Despite the fact it's co-produced by John Mayer, the Taylor Swift John Mayer, the Grateful Dead John Mayer, I don't know. But this is, again, there's about 12 amazing tracks on this album, and this is one of them. I actually thought it was Ye rapping the first couple lines. Diva and the Devel, both of them bad as he L. They keep quiet when he yell. Can't sound my peep-el. You locked in the prequel. Meet me at the festival. So is this like an Astro World reference here? I can't tell. I don't know. But instead of clowning more on the goofiness of those lyrics and the delivery, let's just take a second to appreciate again. Ye finds interesting samples, and he integrates them with great collaborators and makes totally new art. Ye delivers on the promise of sampling, which is that it can be used to expose you to new art and create something new out of something old, something which the art of sampling, we thought would be killed by money and by lawyers, but it hasn't. This is a sample from Amanaz by Tsuka Luendo. Beautiful guitar sound on here. Where did he find this sample? It's just so beautiful. And then at a certain point, there's like a pedal steel guitar comes in. It's backed up with synthesizers. And then the whole beat comes in. And then the album announces that it's not going to be that good all the way through, with the interstitial point of Travis Scott talking to a woman saying, I thought you said this would be Utopia. Why do you think it's not Utopia? Utopia is a perfect place, and this is just a hotel room. Looked pretty perfect to me. Whoa. Hey. Mike Dean, were you in the room when this happened? Was somebody in the room when this was put on the album? And can that person be fired? Can I fire Mike Dean? I don't think I should. That TV show, by the way, The Idol, really wasn't that bad. The main reason it wasn't that bad is that Mike Dean featured heavily in that show. And I would watch a TV show where the music was done by Mike Dean and Mike Dean was in 3 episodes. That show could be somebody just kicking me in the shins for 45 minutes, and I would watch that show if Mike Dean was in the back with a bong and a mixing board. Still, whoever it was that allowed this little skit to be on here, this is like the worst part of the album because it's just so empty and stupid. And it goes this whole like that's what utopia is supposed to mean, and not to be an academic, but the term utopia was invented by an author named Thomas More, British author. And the term actually means nowhere. The whole idea behind utopia is that it cannot exist. So there's so much possibility in the idea. Anytime you talk about utopia, there's a poetic possibility that you could be talking about something that cannot exist. Much like nostalgia works because whatever it is you remember is a lie. Nothing was as simple or as good as you remember it, not even the vacation that I took last week. Okay? It's a lie. Nostalgia is a lie, and utopia does not exist. So this is just a cringy, dumb line, and that leads into the song with Drake. And the chorus, is he fucking lazy? Oh, I'm sorry, crazy. That's the chorus. It's just lazy. You know me. I like Drake. I review Drake all the time. But he's a clown. I love Krusty the Clown's my favorite character in The Simpsons, okay? But Drake is such a clown on this song. Because he's trying to do his like, I'm scary. You're scared of the 6. Dude, you live in Calabasas, okay? Like, I'm not afraid of Calabasas, all right? Drake, I'm not afraid of you. I'm sorry. I'm sure Drake would beat me in a fist fight. He'd probably beat me at checkers, chess. Drake is probably my superior in many, many, many ways. And I'm not saying that he is not a great guy and a great artist. But just don't try and be tough, man. You did an album with 21 Savage. That's fine. That doesn't make you tough. You're the Kiki Do You Love Me guy. And that's cool. Just be that guy. You're scared of the 6. Ooh. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm scared of losing my luggage because Air Canada, great flight, well run. Air Canada is better than Air France, better than Delta, better than Air America. Okay? Or better than American Airlines. But they don't know how to handle baggage. They were like, what? Anyway, they just like threw my baggage in some random place. I had to go find it myself. But anyways, this whole like, if Drake did not have a ghostwriter write this following lyric, I will drink an entire glass of poutine gravy, okay, in a shot, a glass that big. Bodyguard put some work on the flute. Now you want to go and inherit the shit. It's like bodywork. Bodyguard put in, so like he's saying like your bodyguard killed somebody. Now you're trying to take credit. It's just, that's the other part about Drake is when he's trying to sound tough. Like I just don't believe it. Like I believe it when he says that the only thing he loves is his mom and his bed. But when he's trying to be tough, it's just Drake. I do like some of his stuff where he talks about like melting down the chain and all that, and he's not terrible. It's just hard to take him seriously. I'm going to be having the same problem with 21 Savage in a couple songs. Great sort of complete I am a god breakdown before chorus, and then they're afraid of the 7, and then we get TIE Fighter sounds from Star Wars. I love Star Wars, guys. You know that about me. I'm the world's biggest Chewbacca collector. Weird fact about me, but that's cool. It's cool having TIE Fighter sounds. I like that on here. More beat changes. I think it's necessary to have beat changes, especially anything with Drake, because he's so TikTok friendly. And then there's a reference to Messi, who used to play for the stupidest team in French soccer, now plays for the stupidest team in American soccer. And then another reference to Tom Brady. So Tom Brady again. But don't worry. So that was a low point in the album. But then we get to a true high point. Fein. Okay? Fein is things. So, Playboi Carti, right? You know this channel. My most successful video is about Playboi Carti. I really like Playboi Carti. Being a 45-year-old guy and loving Playboi Carti is like the best of both worlds, you know? I can pay property taxes and enjoy Playboi Carti at the same time. The number of people who pay property taxes and enjoy Playboi Carti, that is a very small overlap, primarily because our economic system is so screwed up. But anyways, I'm happy to be one of those people. I feel lucky. I feel fortunate. And it's mostly because of this channel. So thank you for watching and liking and smashing like buckets and stuff. But this is such a great usage of Playboi Carti. It might even be better than his usage on Donda, or it's at least up there. These fully woozy, dirty synths and these words that he can barely even find. And just like Playboi Carti's opening lyrics, beyond saying, Fein, like, sir, whoa. It's like just his ability to be unable to speak in such an entertaining and rhythmically fascinating way. It's great. He has this oddly engaging whisper. He has like these triplet rhymes that fall apart, and then Travis Scott is great with it. The whole thing just goes to... Apparently Sheck West is on this track, but I don't really hear him. I think there was an older version of it where he's on it more. I'm telling you, there's going to be another version of this album. Just the chorus is everything that's great about the Playboi Carti style. Just Fein, 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 Fein. It seems like it's about addiction and usage, and it's sad. We'll be talking more about that soon. Then we get to yet another, as you kids call, banger bop. Okay, with the track Del Resto, Echoes, Bon Iver, Beyonce, this weird sample and these oohs and ahs. And this is what he does that deserves even more credit than he's already been getting. This beat is if Yeezus and Beyonce's Renaissance had a baby. Okay? Don't be mad. Don't be mad, Jay-Z. I don't think they had a baby together. I think she's out of his league. But that's how it sounds. Great 808 cowbell. This ends up being like a house beat. Like, what is love? Baby, don't... But it's a downbeat house beat. Beautifully layered, beautifully textured. Bon Iver basically becomes Barry Gibb. With this like super high funky disco style singing. And then when Travis sings, so how many different Ye references can I squeeze into this video? I hope you have not had a shot of maple syrup for every time that I've said the word Ye or Kanye, because you won't have any left over for your pancakes on Sunday. But he actually sings like 808 and Heartbreak on this. And then there are weird, like, super maximal synthesizers at a certain point. And then Beyonce comes back. Okay, this is what this does. Because most people, when they get features, they just cut them racks and then they do their bars and then they go. What Ye was always able to do is when collaborators collaborate with him, they are collaborating with him. They are making the song together. Beyonce starts the song off and she comes back. And I'm not going to do the whole like adulation Queen Bee stuff because she's just a great artist. She's not a goddess or anything like that. But holy cow, when she comes back, like, she came back? She didn't just like do something off the first take and then just go off to like float on top of some kind of like hovercraft. I would imagine that hovercraft technology exists exclusively for like a hovercraft with a dispenser of like honey and champagne. That's what I imagine what Beyonce moves around on. But then she like comes back and it's really beautiful because she's like talking about this echo and it ends up being the echo that I wait for. And it's poetic. It's interesting lyrics. It's maybe like the best lyrics in the whole album. And the construction, it goes so well with Bon Iver. There's just so much time. I'm talking about that time that Travis Scott gives here and the weird samples and this hey now you report to me. Like, what does this even mean? Like, what's going on here in this song? And that's the feeling that's some of the best parts of Donda, some of the best parts of this album is you're like, I don't know what's happening, but I like it. Then we get to the song, I Know. What do you think? What am I going to say? You probably, presumably, have thoughts about this song. You presumably think, like, what does Professor Skye think of this song? This is the worst song on the album that is also the song that is always stuck in my head. Therefore, it gets a pass. It's not even a bad song on the album because this is my favorite Drake song. Okay? Drake's not on this one, but this is a Drake song. This is what Drake is able to do. Rap about having drunken sex with somebody and sing and rap at the same time. The way he says, just the drugs. I know, just that I know. Like that way that Travis Scott sings that is exactly what I want from Drake. I don't need the, 'cause you're scared of the sex. Oh, 'cause the Toronto Raptors are spooky. The CN Tower is going to poke your eyeball out. Ugh. Okay, we don't need any of that. Okay, Ty Domi is going to knock your. Actually, well, Ty Domi was pretty scary. Okay, I'm just for you Canadians out there. You felt like I was making fun of your city. I'm going to straight up say I don't want any smoke with Ty Domi. Okay, Ty Domi is secretly perhaps the most dangerous human being that's ever lived on planet Earth. But this song here, I know it's just a great Drake song, including a lot of weird, gross lyrics about all the women who would love to have oral sex with him. But it's catchy, and a lot of this is about like having sex at 5 a.m. and can we still have sex? This is a thing where a lot of my viewers are young. Like sexuality and drunkenness is kind of it's a weird thing, right? Because, like, if you're a man and you get drunk, then you want to have more sex, but your ability to physically perform the sex act is severely impacted. Severely impacted. So all of these songs that are about, like, being drunk and trying to have sex, it's so the opposite of sexy. Because, like, if someone is, like, super drunk at 5 a.m., the chances of that being a positive sexual encounter are nigh zero. I said it. They are nigh zero. Okay? I don't care. Travis Scott is a very attractive man. There's no question about that. But like 5 o'clock in the morning and super drunk? That's... just pass. Call me at noon when you wake up. You know what I mean? Makes reference to the 101. That's a highway in Los Angeles. There's the 101 Diner, it's been in a lot of movies. I went there and they have really good milkshakes. When I went there once, I saw Juliet Landau from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, my favorite character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you are a Toronto Maple Leafs and Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, you just loved the last 5 minutes of this video. The next song is called Topia Twins. Now, here's a lowlight. Okay, this is just... at least the beat's catchy. At least the beat kind of reminds me of like a Fugees beat, like a 90s Fugees beat. But just this whole listen, have you ever known twins? I've known twins in my life, and they are not the whole. Do you have a brother or sister? Would you like to be in a sexual relationship at the same time with them? Is that what you would? I have 3 brothers. I can confidently tell you I would never like to be in a sexual encounter with them at the same time. And then that goes beyond my general dislike of that idea with just anybody. So it's the whole thing is just kind of weird. And it's just like, this is what I thought the album was going to be. And it's just bad. And 21 Savage is on here. And I can't take him seriously anymore. I forget the name of the guy. There's some guy on YouTube, I've shouted him out before, I'll tell you in the comments, who does impressions of 21 Savage. It's just too funny with all of his ad-libs and just, oh God, 21. What's that guy's name? You can tell me in the comments. There's a guy who he does such a good impersonation. It's catchy, it's okay, it's nice having Travis doing ad-libs, but whatever. Next track is Circus Maximus. I think it's Sway Lee doing the opening stuff. I don't really know anything about Sway Lee, so this is pretty good. This whole song is Come On Man. Come on, man. We did it, Joe. Come on, man. What? It's one thing to make a song that sounds... Okay, so I had a friend, a very talented musician. Okay, he works in Hollywood. He's done music... His name is Joe DeVoe. He makes music on his own. Plus, he does sound for Silicon Valley and all sorts of movies and stuff. And when he was getting started, he was paid to make a song for St. Patrick's Day for Bud Light beer. And the goal was make it sound like U2. They weren't going to pay U2 to make it sound like U2. So I guess he got his delay on his guitar pedal and just went bucka 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 bucka, and then that was the day. This is that, but of the song Black Skinhead. Beyond that. Like he talks about like where it's packed in, which is like he makes references to being black. It's like the only time on the album. It's just like it's not just that he sounds like Ye, it's that he like just goes harder into the yayness of it all, and he even does like a full Yeezus yell on here, and then it's just like he makes reference to the McDonald's meal and don't think I'm a Ronald. Dude, you are a Ronald. It's okay. It's okay. But if you are selling hamburgers for McDonald's, then you are a McDonald's spokesperson. That's neither good nor bad. But you are Ronald McDonald. That's when you sell your soul, the devil has it, right? And I'm not acting like I own stocks and I own a car and I'm part of the problem. Okay. I'm not saying that I'm an angel, but like, you just have to just own it. So, yeah, man, you're a Ronald McDonald and you're Reese's McPieces, right? Whatever it is, it's okay. Second reference to Socrates, again. And even though I've been clowning on this for being so Ye-like, the Weeknd feature, man, Weeknd's just not very good on this album. It's just like Dial a Weeknd, you know, just like, hey, would you come in and sing High about drugs? Yeah. That's kind of how it is. But beautiful space, again, at the end here. This like high and piercing, descending, low synth things. So much is going on here that's really nice. Parasail is the next track. Okay. Beautiful, weird guitar sample. Apparently it's Drug Song by Dave Bixby. And then we get Dave Chappelle in here. Now, I've talked a lot about Dave Chappelle. I am insistent that on the list of people who we need to correct, he's very, very far down there. He is a transphobe, and it's good that people are calling him out on being a transphobe, and it is bad being a transphobe. But anyway, you can see some other work on Dave Chappelle here. But this is him at his worst, because it's one thing to like whatever the stuff that he said about trans people. Most of it was pretty hateful and unacceptable. At best, it was pretty interestingly observed, making a point that we haven't heard before. Okay, so I don't think that you can just say just one brush. He's not J.K. Rowling, right? Rowling, whatever it is. I'm not even going to pronounce your name properly. J.K. Rowling. He's not that, right? The points he's making are fairly interesting. A lot about difficulty of intersectionality, a whole bunch of stuff. I could go on for hours, but I'm just going to go on for seconds. Okay, but him just sort of like, I forgive myself. I choose to feel free. Man, you're not like some victim. Like you're a multi-millionaire who's making a bad take. And it's okay, you're a rich millionaire. It's hard to stay grounded. It's hard to be on the right side of everything. And you're still a great artist and one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time. And we need his voice 99% of the time. That 1% of the time, we don't. But this is what happens is where just when the defensiveness, when people who say bad stuff get defensive, it makes it worse. Same thing happened with Ye and his white supremacy. It's just like, if you just say the thing, it's one thing, but then when you double down, and also like, I forgive myself. I choose to feel free. And doggone it, people like me. It's Daily Affirmations with Stuart Smalley. So I'm not a big fan. I thought he was great in the Killer Mike song. I don't think he's particularly good here. Travis's voice is the most affected here, but I like it. I like the shuffle. And then Young Lean comes out of nowhere, and Young Lean is just great. It's great having him here. It's great showing the sort of international scope, bringing in someone here. It's like when he's going to bring in West Side Gun later. He's really showing that thing that Ye's able to do of looking at hip-hop in a much larger scope than just sort of who are the people that I know. And he really gets the best out of Young Lean on here. Again, he comes back, and it's a bit weird. Next song is Schizo, featuring Young Thug. Very tinny 808 sound, cool kind of... I think this is my favorite Travis Scott delivery, like rapping stuff. the way that he says, do that there. There's like a rhythmic interest to it and a repetition of the do that there. And I'm still trying to find the thing, right? Because I've never understood the thing. Because when people love something, you try to figure out what's the thing that they love. What is the it that they love? And I think it might be here. There's like an intensity, but also an ease with which he delivers it The way that he says this, do that there. Just those lines in here, and then he repeats it with everything else around it. It's very seductive. And I don't mean like sexually seductive. I mean like the Latin term seducere, like to draw towards it. Like he draws you towards him with the timbre of his voice, the rhythm, the words he chooses to use, the way that he talks. There's something about it that just kind of draws you in. And in this example, do that there, that just pulls me in. Do that there. Just, I'm starting to get it. Cactus Jack. Can someone explain what Cactus Jack means? That's what it said on the back of the Reese's Pieces box. I was looking for the Reese's Pieces box. I found my little Yachty box, so that's pretty sweet. Turns out he was a great artist after all. Man, Reese's Pieces is like 2 out of 2 for rappers who I would dismiss but actually make great albums in 2023. Young Thug's on here. I don't know. It's really sad because he talks about making white folks money, which is just the whole sad thing, that we have all these entertainers talking about having all this money, and none of it's working really to undo the systematic racism and the inequality of access to education and money and power that exists in our society. So the fact that like a guy who's probably going to be going to jail is talking about having all this money, it's just a real sad reminder of inequality. Beautiful, great beat. This song is a song that was saved by the beat changes. We have like a full-on Matthew McConaughey, all right, and then a whole different verse, and it's like intertwining with Travis Scott and Young Thug, and there's like these backwards sounds. He refers to himself as the human Pinterest. Hey, what does that mean? How are you a human Pinterest? Doesn't matter. Then another beat switch, and you need me right now. And then the forward beat, and if the answer is down there with the devil, maybe I'll never know. It feels like so much this album was written hoping to get onto Donda. So there's so much like devil and God stuff that it wasn't quite there. He says that he's loyal to Ye over Biden, and I'm going to vote for Biden. I'm actually pretty happy with him, but that's fine. You're mad at me now. All the young people are mad at me now. I like Joe Biden. I think he's doing his best in a hard situation. But Ye is probably my second favorite person out there running. I'd probably vote for him before anyone else who's running. So hey, there you go. He's my number 2 in line. But it is interesting that he says this line, because that is a very provocative way to show loyalty to Ye, because it's sort of implying potential Trump support. But it's actually showing support of Ye in a very deep way. I imagine that Ye appreciates this line because he has a weird hatred for Joe Biden, which I don't understand. Anyways, but also like to have such a provocative way to say that you support him, and then the album ends with another 10 out of 10. Bop banger, whatever you young people want to call it, a real groovy tune, okay? This song is the Cat's Pajamas. This song is the Cricket's Underpants, okay? Lost Forever. Oh, wait, this is not the last track on the album. Oh, my God, there's like 4 more tracks here. When is this video going to end, everybody? No, the next track is not the perfect track. I got confused because this has James Blake on it as well. And it's got this bizarre sample to start off with. Have you ever been lost? By someone named Chuck Senrick. His ability to find interesting samples and use them is great. And I'm saying he. Let me tell you why I'm saying he. Because I give Ye credit for everything that's on a Ye album, even though he's usually one of 8 producers. I am giving the same respect to Travis Scott. I am believing, perhaps mistakenly, tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, that he is organizing and orchestrating everything. So even if he's not the person who's playing the drums, he's the person who's playing the drums. You smell me? Okay. Just beautiful blared out sounds. I think this might be his most interesting flow. He gets pretty Ye at certain points, but still, this is co-produced by The Alchemist, and I think we can hear that with how the beat is changed. And then West Side Gun comes out of nowhere and pops up here, and he just gets to do what he does. And I love him here, and I love it because I think it's pretty clear that he's here, that West Side Gun is getting into all of these mainstream rappers through fashion, that because most of his verses about Fashion Week and like almost knocking over models. But it's an interesting thing because obviously Griselda crew deserves to be in any rap conversation that's going on right now, because they make like minimal, like 5 great albums a year, and usually like 5 good albums a year on top of it. But it's really nice hearing him here. He just does what he does, and then it comes back and he mixes it in with Travis. And again, he's just getting the best out of his collaborators. I think this is a better usage of Griselda than was on Donda. I liked hearing them on there, but this feels more like Travis Scott was really trying to figure out what makes the Griselda crew good. And then he went and got Alchemist, who is the guy who really knows how to get the most out of a lot of these rappers as well. Then we get to the song Love, featuring Kid Cudi. Remember how I said at worst this is Donda with a Yeezus sound pack? Come on, man. This is the send it up dook sound. That dook, the dook, that sound is on this song. But there's also a siren, some agitated sounds. You get super hyped up on this one. It's got Pharrell on here, and Travis is producing a lot of himself. More meaningless, hyped up choruses. I get it, love, I get it. Y'all feel like that? Cool change in the voice. It gets really there. Have you ever made love with a bachelor? Like, the way he delivers that just makes you think, you ever had sex with a pharaoh? Sarcophagus! It just feels that very Yeezus-y. A little break, which is nice. Very compressed synthesizer playing the melody. And then there's another break later where we had this great outro with Kid Cudi coming in. And then you realize, from what I remember, Travis Scott's last name, his real name is Jock Webster. Dude, you were given a wonderful name at birth. Jock Webster? Anyways, it's a great name. It's a nice hat. But I guess he took Scott because Kid Cudi's name is Scott Mescudi, and so it makes things clear to me that how much he's not just trying to sound like Ye, but also like Kid Cudi. The true low point of the album is the song K-pop. I like Bad Bunny. I like that album. But this song is just not very good. It's just the reggaeton thing is okay, and then just Weekend is just, I mean, seriously, it was interesting. When I was at the Pearson Airport in Toronto, they have like the vending machines, and they had one that was just water and one that was juice and one that was Coca-Cola, and then there was one that was just a Weekend feature. And you put in like 60,000 what they call loonies, which are like dollar coins. You put in 60,000 loonies, and you get Weekend coming out to sing about doing drugs and having sex with you in a beautiful ethereal voice. So I guess it was out. So it must have been that Travis Scott did that, and it just mix the drugs with pain. Like, all right, I love the Weekend, and I get the Don FM, like that album is like one of the best albums I've ever reviewed on this channel, okay? I'm not clowning on the Weekend. He's great. But this whole song, just like Saint-Tropez in the south of France. It turns out K-pop refers to a ketamine lollipop. All right. Uncle, Grandpa, Professor Skye coming back again to lecture you about drugs. Hey, if you're going to do drugs, just do drugs, okay? Don't eat candy. Like, if you're going to drink whiskey, just drink whiskey. Don't drink candy. It's a Fireball. It's a sugary Mountain Dew whiskey. If you're going to do opiates, just slam heroin. I don't understand. Like, enough with the Sprite and enough with lollipops. Like, don't do drugs and eat candy at the same time. Can I say that? Can that be a thing that I'm famous for saying? I don't think you should do drugs at all. But does everything have to be yummy? Does everything have to be yummy? Can you at least have an adult palate while you are murdering your brain and destroying your life and taking horse tranquilizers? Anyways, it's just a little pet peeve. I mean, personally, like, honey whiskey bugs me the most out of any of it, because it's like whiskey. I don't love whiskey. I like it all right. But like part of what makes whiskey interesting is that it's like a thing you have to like get through. You know, it's like a very hard acquired taste, and even vaping. Like even tobacco, like it used to be, you had to smoke, and it was kind of an unpleasant, very strong thing. And now people are literally like inhaling water droplets of cotton candy. You know, I'm just gonna be grandpa. I'm gonna be Clint Eastwood here, just for a second, and just say, if you're gonna kill yourself with substances, at least do it like an adult. Bum 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 bum. And just, I love it when she calls me Poppy, even though she's Korean. I can't even with that lyric. I am not even going to identify what's so weird about that. This song, part of the problem with this song, I don't like it, but it ends too soon. This is where I wish they had followed the template of the rest of the album and just let that kind of reggaeton beat go. Add another little change, do a little bit more with it. This song doesn't even it feels out of place. The next song is Telekinesis featuring Future and SZA. Another Donda leftover, and you can tell I really love Future. I like Donda too. So, hey, I'm one of those guys. I thought Future did a great job on Donda 2, just mumbling over echoes. The streets raised me, but they didn't do anything for my dad. Like secretly, like maybe the best Future lyric, you know? Streets raised me, but they didn't do anything for my dad. Like the sadness in that and like the pain in that. I thought money would make me happy, and it's funny, 'cause I had my whole drug thing, but I'm a very scared flyer. I have a very, very hard time flying. If you know anybody who's afraid of flying and you want to blow their mind, ask them, hey, were your parents alcoholics? They probably were. Being afraid of flying is very little to do with flying, most to do with childhood trauma. But, so I take sedative when I fly. So it was kind of funny listening to this song. I take a very low dosage because I have to still be able to like take care of my baby and stuff. But still, I'm altered. It's as high as Wu-Tang gets. It's as high as I ever get. Very low dose. I think it's Ativan. So it's kind of funny like, listening to Future. I was like, hey, I'm Future. I feel kind of groggy. This is a drum. It's prescribed. I take it as prescribed. So it's not self-medication if it's prescribed. But Future here, he's nice. I like Travis on here as well. I will say that calling the song Telekinesis makes me think that they don't know what telekinesis means. Telekinesis is moving stuff with your mind. I think what they mean is precognition, which doesn't sound as cool, but that's what they mean. I can see the future as precognition. Skye walking around like I'm Luca? But is that the corniest line on the album? And then I Can't Wait to Live in Glory. Like, of course this was supposed to be a song on Donda because you can tell because there's little traces and it's like Ye, like if you want to get onto a Ye project, if you mention Jesus or something like kind of vaguely glory-ish, God-ish, heaven-ish, devilish, all that sort of stuff, you're more likely to get on the project. A nice break on the beat. There's this kind of weird trilly sound on the 2, and then Future comes back again. I love how he brings the collaborators back. Kind of a triumphant outro with SZA. SZA's not great on here. I really like SZA. I loved her album. She's like singing a little too hard. I don't know. And then we finally get to that track I was talking about before. Absolute just perfection. I mean, this is maybe the closest this album gets to a song like Hurricane. Produced by James Blake and Metro Boomin, which is just a great combination. They both are capable of releasing great albums. And James Blake, he's just being James Blake. Where will you go now that you're done with me? I wonder if this isn't maybe talking about the astral world thing, maybe the feeling that celebrities have that like they can be abandoned at any point. Like at a certain point, especially black celebrities, at a certain point we're going to decide that Diddy is responsible for global warming. Okay? Sean Puffy Combs is responsible for global warming. We need to cancel him, and we need to destroy everything he's ever done. Any good thing that he's ever done is instantly eradicated. Okay? Like, that feeling, I don't know if that's what it's about. Maybe not. But I love it, because then you hear the Young Thug, Metro! In the back, and then, like, the Metro brings in the drums, and it's just great. And then 21 Savage comes back in, and he's not a joke. Or at least and I really enjoy 21 Savage. I like that album with Drake. this is much better because he's not in the sort of her loss mode. And then the voices are just matched with, and almost like a church organ. And then Travis comes back, and this nice outro with these kind of snapping snares, and it's just a beautiful start, like a beautiful ending to a really great album. And I look forward to the deluxe edition. I look forward to whatever else is coming out because I'm sure there's going to be more. So there I am. There's my first Travis Scott project, start to finish. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I'm starting to get it. Tell me what I missed. Tell me AVAA. Smash the like bucket. Help me fight the algorithm. Not help me fight the algorithm. The algorithm is currently sitting on top of my refrigerator and it's looking at me like this. Okay? Help me get the algorithm back on my lap. Ew. There's the camera.